You're listening to the No BS Bishop podcast. We're alive to love, and all other values are potential BS. Now here's your host, Bishop Randy Dean.
Welcome, beautiful people. I'm, as you just heard, Bishop Randy Dean. I'm the No BS Bishop. I'm alive to love. I believe all lesser values than love devolve into bait and switch, which is, for my purposes here, what BS is. And you can make BS whatever it fits the accurate description in your mind for my discussion. But I just believe love is credible for all things in life, and we've got to stand in love in order to find credibility for our own life and living and goals and ministries or relationships, you name it. Love stands the test. So today I want to talk to you about an unusual topic. It'll sound unusual, so I want to hold your attention, right? It can stink to love people. So we're going to talk about how it stinks sometimes to love people. We'll get to that. But before we get there, I guess I better pray the Lord's Prayer. I'll lead you in that in a moment. Then I'd like to lead you in Love's Creed so that you can understand the basis upon which I come here week in and week out for this broadcast. It's my goal to be consistent. It's my goal to be a steady Eddie, and to make sure that I hold on to a secure anchor for my thoughts on love. This is an inexhaustible topic, the topic of love. And so to that end, today we're going to talk about how it can stink, and we'll unpack what that means. All right, but first, let's pray the Lord's Prayer. What a magnificent, historic, powerful paragraph. Jesus gives it to his disciples because they said, teach us how to pray. We're losing traction on what we used to do in praying, but we see you praying and it matters. We want a prayer that matters. And so Jesus said, here's what you do. Just don't get into a vain repetition means of holding this prayer. Now, I believe you can pray this prayer over and over and over again and never be vain and repetitive if it comes up out of a deep meditation. So to that end, join me in the wisdom of Jesus when he taught us these words. If you know it, join me. If you don't, listen in. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever. Amen. And there you have it. Your voice and mine just joined with millions upon millions of people over 2,000 years. The first voice who said it was the voice of the Son of the living God, Jesus, who gave us something that holds steady in and out of highs and lows. Whether history is favorable to humankind or unfavorable, the Lord's Prayer stands like a monument to the deity of Christ. All right, now from there to Love's Creed. This is a creed I wrote for me. Never dreamed when I wrote it that it would become something I would be publishing and broadcasting, but it is. And here it is, a New Year's resolution many years ago for me, but then I refined and edited it to these words. So listen to it carefully, and then I'll go back and I'll ask you, if you're so inclined, to repeat after me. But here it is in total. I'm alive to love. I am not on this earth for hate. I'm alive for love. I'm not breathing, eating, and sleeping to regain energy for causing pain. I am alive with plans, dreams, and designs locked into anything and everything that is love. I am unavailable for anything less than love. Now, I want to invite you to repeat after me. Make it yours. It's very personal. I hope it can be for you at any rate. Here you go. Repeat after me. I'm alive to love. I am not on this earth for hate. I'm alive for love. I'm not breathing, eating and sleeping to regain energy for causing pain. I am alive with plans, dreams, and designs. Locked into anything and everything. That is love. I am unavailable for anything less than love. I know those are my words, and I know it seems like I'm breaking my arm to pat myself on the back, but I love the lilt and the rhythm of those words as they relate to a deep-seated conviction in me. And I recognize how difficult these words are. Even though I wrote them, I put myself in a difficult spot by saying, this is why I'm living, this is why I'm eating, this is why I'm breathing. I'm gaining energy for love, not for causing pain. And I recognize, and to the topic for today, that it can really stink to love people. So there's my topic. It can be such a arduous, painful, heartbreaking task if you take love's creed to heart, and I do, and you hold on to it, and I do, and then recognize that there are people in your life or in the periphery of your life or in the zone, whether it's by news or social media or neighborhood or nation, when there are people whose lives are challenged by their dysfunction, selfishness, or whatever else may be the case, it can stink to love people. And so what I'm asking you to do is join me in recognizing love can stink. Love anyway. Yeah, there it is. Love anyway, no matter what the towering challenge may be. It can stink, and it can cause you pain to hold on to love. There's no guarantee that love is going to treat you with kid gloves. And in fact, I have found love will treat you with hard-working leather gloves that'll wrestle you to the ground on some days if you genuinely take it to heart and to mind and to your convictions and to make it a personal creed. Love will wrestle you to the ground and hold you there until you surrender and say, okay, I've been mistreated again, but I will not give up on love. It can stink to love people. Love them anyway. You'll be betrayed. Yeah, well, but love anyway. I know there's a sad impression some folks have of pastors, maybe even of me, that we live a cushy life, we live an easy life, that it's your hands are soft, your head is mushy, and all you've done is prepare sermons and marry couples when they get married, and you've had the privilege of standing in funerals to honor your congregants and all of that. I know there's a simplistic view of pastors that doesn't take into account that pastors are human beings that get betrayed, and the betrayal can run deep. One of the reasons the United States of America is suffering a significant downturn in church attendance, and this is just one of many reasons, is that pastors are dropping like flies. The rate of being able to replace pastors that are retiring or quitting, that rate is horrible. For every 5 pastors leaving, there might be 1 pastor coming in as a new recruit, a fresh new somebody who hasn't yet learned that it can stink to love people. So I'm telling you that that the fact that the recidivism rate for pastors going haywire, first of all, I know it's not the only reason, but it is a significant reason. When you're not replacing on the ground, boots on the ground leadership in local congregations on a consistent basis, you're losing significant traction. And the church in the United States is losing significant traction. That doesn't bring me any joy. I want you to hear that. I have no joy in that. I've been a part of pastoring since the 70s. That's a very long time. And I've been in on those hardcore board meetings and those hardcore counseling sessions. I'm 72, but on my 40th birthday, I will never forget, my 40th birthday was celebrated in part by setting in on a specific family feud that was going on in my church, and I was called a referee. And I don't mean this was just some kind of simple disagreement between these people. It was it was bad. I won't go into details because it would betray confidence potentially, but it was hard, and it took the better part of my birthday for my 40th birthday. I remember sitting there having a feeling of, well, happy birthday to me, the big 4-0. And it was a stark reminder of what I'm talking about right now. It can stink to love people, but there I was. And as I sat there and as I tried refereeing, and it got loud, never got physical, thank God. It could have. But as I was managing, let's see, there were 5 people in that room plus me. As I was managing this war, this miniature war in a room that we were in, a Sunday school room, I just knew in that moment that somehow I'm going to have to reach down deep and love anyway. And now I'm going to follow that story up with, some years later, less than a decade later, some of the people in and around that debate betrayed me. They spoke ill of me in ways that I couldn't answer quick enough, because the louder they talked, the more the betrayal set in, and the more it looked like I was a bad, evil, sick, wrong guy, and they were angelic, and I was a demonic force. And I remember wondering then, what happened from 10 years ago when I was trying to help you out on my 40th birthday to now I'm in my 50s, and now suddenly I'm a bad guy. But that's betrayal. That's how betrayal works. People redefine reality, redefine their history. They redefine things according to their relationship to truth. Some people have a curious relationship with truth. They have a way of having massaged truth to match their own definitions of life, and that's what happened. But it wasn't just somebody having a different view of me than what I would have loved. It was that their view of me turned into a very vitriolic, angry thing, and we lost parishioners over it. Now, all that is to say, do you still love Randy? Pastor Randy, do you still love? And my answer to that is yes. Oh, heaven, yes. I love. It can stink to love people. Love them anyway. You'll be betrayed. Love anyway. And oh yeah, you'll be given promises by people who say they'll always love you. And then one day along the way, you'll look around and they have disappeared. Off they run. And then you ask yourself, wait a minute, you said you would love me no matter what and never, never, never leave me. That sounds familiar, doesn't it? Love them anyway, no matter what, because in it all, to love anyone, in any circumstance, in any way, and always, to love no matter what, is to rise, to live in the majesty of God. And remember, God is love. God doesn't have an off switch when he's betrayed. God does not have an off switch when God metaphorically looks around and can't find the people who said they would never leave him or desert him. I'm thinking immediately of the disciples that surrounded Jesus prior to his crucifixion. And they vowed, we will never leave you. Well, it wasn't a matter of just a few hours. They were gone. They ran for their lives. And to that end, it just exemplifies what I'm saying here. It can stink to love people. As I think about Jesus, prior to that circumstance there, just within the circumference of time as he was going toward the Garden of Gethsemane and being betrayed by Judas, just prior to that, he looked out over Jerusalem and he wept. And he said, how often I would have gathered you as a mother hen would have gathered her chicks. Just like a mama hen would have put her chicks under her wings, I would have gathered you. But you wanted nothing to do with it. That, what he just described, what is described in the words of Jesus, is the ultimate life-sacrificial love of a mama hen. Of a mama hen who will fight to the death. And that's what Jesus did. He fought to the death. It pulls in the natural instinct, the survival of the fittest, of the mama hen who would take on a fox that would get into the hen house. And Jesus said, that's how I would love you. Let me step aside for just a minute, give you a little sideline thought about that. There's the mothering instinct of God. When people say that God is only a male, they're just not paying attention, and they're not willing to expand their view of the power and the beauty of God, because the power and beauty of God, when God made Adam and Eve, it says God made them in his image, male and female. So there's all kinds of daddy and all kinds of mama in God. All right, that's your free part. You don't have to pay me a dime for it. But here's Jesus recognizing that his people would not come to the wings of his mama hen heart. But in it all, God is love. Love doesn't go on and off. And it can stink. But when we rise to that kind of love, to love in the face of it all, to be betrayed in love, to be given promises that are broken and love anyway, to love no matter what, to love anyone, anyway, and always, is then to live in the majesty of God. Henry Nouwen wrote a book called Here and Now, Living in the Spirit. And he gives this quote in his book. When we love our neighbor, we embrace the whole of humanity. Our neighbor is not just the person who is like us, but anyone whom we meet, no matter their race, their background, our situation. So now I would add that when I love my neighbor, I don't get the opportunity to define what my neighbor is, because anyone I meet is my neighbor. That's the parable, this Good Samaritan parable. Who is my neighbor? Well, anybody, anywhere, all the time. Look out your window. Look at the house next to you or just down the road from you. There's your neighbor. Take a drive. Go to a grocery store. See a human being. There's your neighbor. See somebody that looks scary, makes you a little bit nervous. There's your neighbor. Love your neighbor. Find yourself watching the news and seeing people behaving in an enormously bad way. There's your neighbor. Whoever that person is, that's your neighbor. And what do I do with my neighbor? Love them. What if my neighbor looks scary? Love them anyway. What if my neighbor has an entirely different political view than me? Love your neighbor. What if my neighbor has betrayed me? What if my neighbor has causing me fear and a sense of insecurity. Love your neighbor. So when I say it can stink to love people, but love them anyway, I'm saying that this pilgrimage, this mountain climb, this marathon, this heavy lifting of love calls us to be greater, larger, stronger, more determined in life than the average view of how living life should be done. Because then when I love in that manner, I'm in the majesty of God. This is God. God is love. The little epistles of 1 John, 1st, 2nd, 3rd John. God is love. And those who say they love God but they hate their brother, they're a liar. You can't love God and hate anybody. When you love God, you are now in the God zone. You're now in the divinity zone. And in that zone, there is no room for hate, no matter what is coming at you from your neighbor or your enemy. Love anyway. My goal in life is to be as honest about my relationships as I know how to be, as I'm talking to people, or I'm posting on social media, or I'm talking to you now, or I have friends that I converse with, some people in a part-time job I work at, in a hospital. I just have daily conversations as we spend 5 to 8 hours at a time with each other in between breaks and what have you. Just the conversation, and my goal is whatever's coming at me, and a few things have come at me that are disappointing or even terrifying, a little frightening. Love is what I'm going to act out from. So I have to take a deep breath, as we'll do in a minute to close the broadcast. Take a deep breath when you're challenged, when your adrenaline starts running, when somebody is confrontive, when someone looks you dead in the eye and say, "You're dead to me." And I've had that happen to me. Well, now love is a pretty tall order, and it can stink in that moment to say, "I love you." And that is the call that is upon our life. That is the call that God offers for a life well lived, a life lived in some sort of satisfied manner, a life lived with an accomplished set of goals and priorities. Now, notice I didn't say anything about making money or having a profession or a job, and I want all of those things, don't get me wrong. But love calls me above and beyond all of those normal Americanized priorities. I got to make money, I got to have retirement, I got to pay off my house, I got to make sure my bills are paid on time, and on and on and on. Love says, oh, by the way, there's something harder than all of that. And that is loving people, even when it stinks. Love them anyway, no matter what. Because in it all, to love anyone, in any way, and always love, is to live in the majesty of God and to remember God is love. Now I'm going to ask you a question with bad grammar. What is you? God is love. What is you? And the answer to that is a tall order, isn't it? Well, and in order to have a good answer for that, we better learn how to breathe, right? Because love stinks some days. And in order to walk through the difficulty of love, it's important to breathe. On the count of 3, I want you to inhale all the love you can into your lungs, figuratively speaking. 1, 2, 3. Inhale. Hold love. Exhale fear. Because no matter what, no matter how much someone may give me a cause for fear, love will be my answer. Now, the next one is the challenge that I offer here. I'm notorious for it. I'm infamous for it. And I'm loved for it, but it doesn't matter whether I'm infamous or famous for it. I'm asking you to be daring and get past all of the awkwardness of saying it and to look somebody in their eyes and with a direct eye contact and have the courage to say the three most magical, charmed, and holy words in the human language. I love you. That's unsettling. And it requires some real meditation and thought. How am I going to get there if I do that? Why couldn't I just say, hey, love you, and run along? Well, you could, and I'm not saying you shouldn't. I'm just saying, are you brave enough to take it another step? To make eye contact? To risk love stinking and saying to somebody, hey, I love you. That's what I'm saying. It's a challenge, it's a risk, and it can stink, but it's worth the challenge, and especially in our day and time, when fear and hate and retributive mindsets are everywhere, conflicting ideologies, conflicting political views, conflicting religious views. We're beset on every side with the temptation of fear and hate. Love is a revolution waiting for the simplicity of your words. I love you. Well, and I'm urging you, don't wait. Don't wait, because the biggest mistake we make is thinking we've got time. I'm asking you to join me to be present, be kind, love more, love now. I'm asking you to join me in something I've read from Mother Teresa when she said, go into the world today and love the people you meet. Let your presence light new light in the hearts of others. You see, Mother Teresa is giving us an invitation to this grand adventure of facing the stinking rejection that can happen. But regardless, no matter what the receptivity or rejection may be, love anyway. Go into the world today and love anyway and always. God is love. What is you? And to that end, I have answered and am answering that call, not just in one fell swoop, but in a daily meditation. I'm alive to love. I'm not on this earth for hate. I'm alive for love. I'm not breathing, eating, and sleeping to regain energy for causing pain. I'm alive with plans, dreams, and designs locked into anything and everything that is love. I am unavailable for anything less than love. Are you brave enough to join me? Some days will stink, and some days you'll be standing on the Mount Everest of a view of life that is irreplaceably transcendent. When love finally rises to its shining, your whole inner world trembles with joy. And then your outer world lights up like the brightest sunrise you've ever dreamed of. Love does that. I'm not just being a preacher boy right now. I'm telling you, love does that. Now go into the world today and do something beautiful, and you heard what that beauty is, and that is love anyway. I'm Bishop Randy Dean, and I wish you happy trails. And I want you to hear me say, I love you.
Thanks for listening to the No BS Bishop podcast. If you like the show, leave a comment on it. Or, even better, share it with your friends. And we'll see you on the next one.